Are you going with the flow with what you want, or are you still in a state of protest or validation or defense? Are you still pushing against what's wrong, or are you going with the flow of what's right? Are you a vibrational match to the solution, or do you remain a vibrational match to the problem? So as we're moving forward here today, we want to talk with you about anything that is important to you. Nothing is off limits, but we want to show you how really easy it is to calibrate to your success rather than letting the conditions that surround you calibrate you. And there are a couple of things that we want to emphasize with you. One is that if you can calibrate before the condition descends on you, you have a much better chance of owning the room, of controlling the frequency of yourself and therefore your point of attraction. But if you have not gotten out ahead of it, if you haven't been deliberately quieting your mind, if you don't meditate on a regular basis, or if you're not basking or looking for positive aspects on a regular basis, if you're just an observer of life, and we want to say to you that most people offer most of their vibration in response to what they are observing. And in this world today, there is such a plethora to observe of both wanted and unwanted that most people have a very mixed bag of vibration that you are offering at any point in time, which means your goat is gettable. It means there's something within you that very well could harmonize with something that someone walks in the room, and let's say into your room, into your space, and let's, for sake of this analogy, say that they've not been meditating and they've not been reaching for alignment with who they really are, and they're not in a state of love or appreciation. They are really in a mean, ornery, vulnerable feeling, defensive state. You work with that person or live with that person or are that person. So that person walks into your space, and let's say that you've lived everything that that person is ornery about yourself. You also have felt undervalued or unseen or not noticed or not cared for. You've had some of those feelings in response to the way your life has been going for you. So you have some active vibrations within you because your vibration on every subject is where you last left it. Now, it may not be active right now in this moment, but the probability of it becoming active, if it's where you last left it, and it always is a sure thing. So you didn't meditate, and you're not tuned in, and you're not tapped in, and you're not turned on, and you're not feeling good, and you haven't been basking. You just showed up there where this other person showed up. You're not particularly ornery, and what's bothering this other person was not active within you, but because your vibration is where you last left it, and because you're not tuned in to your higher power, to your higher clarity, to your greater strength, then that person is going to dominate the energy space around you. That person is going to just be there, just looking the way that person is looking and feeling the way that person is feeling, and even if that person doesn't say anything, he's gonna get your goat. He's gonna push your buttons because you didn't do something to get out ahead of it. You just sort of blundered into this segment of life experience unprepared for what was there, and what's dominant always wins. So fix that. We've enjoyed this interaction immensely. So there are a couple of things that we want to say to you. There are two ways for you to approach this understanding of how you want to be vibrationally calibrated to who you are and what you really want. One is, if you get out ahead of it, then you have a much better opportunity of not having such a bumpy ride. If you don't get out ahead of it, you're going to have a bumpy ride, because if somebody's in your space and they're feeling great, you probably do too, and somebody's in your space and they're feeling rotten, you probably do too, and probably you are not feeling very powerful or very capable of holding your own, because you find yourself up and down. It's sort of a roller coaster ride that you're living. And so then you usually do what most people do: you start blaming others for how you feel. which makes you want to join together with clubs. In other words, you want to join together in groups of people that feel more like you feel, so that your ride isn't so rough. But it would be like sending out an advertisement. You don't call it that on the internet. You put your profile out there somewhere, everywhere, and you announce to anyone who looks, which you assume will be everyone on the planet, see my picture, this is me, you might run into me, and when you do, I need these things from you. Don't chew your gum loud in my ear. Oh, the list is long. We just received 400 things from you. Of the things that you would let others know that they need to do in order to be in harmony with you. It seems like a lot of information to get out there, and a lot of unlikely cooperation from a lot of people. Or you could just tune to who you really are and what you really want, and you could own the room that you're standing in. In other words, you could be the dominant one. You could be the one that brings the best out of this one. So this one walks in the room and is really ornery, just had a terrible encounter with someone, and is really sort of seething and in the room with you, not because law of attraction brought this person there, but because you went home for Christmas. Law of attraction is at the heart of everything, but you know what we mean. You didn't set a goal, you just did what your family wanted you to do. So there you are, but you're tuned in. So this person either rises to your vibrational frequency because there's no resistance within you, and you are in the act of gathering cooperative components to you, because you've got a powerful thing going on. One who's connected to source energy is more powerful than millions who are not. It's the difference between a firecracker and an atomic bomb. We can't even explain in enough ways to let you know the power of alignment. So then one of two things happens. Either this ornery one rises to the vibration that is you and sees the humor in what he's living or whatever, or walks right in and walks right out. Can't abide in that vibration. That vibration is so discordant to who that person is that without even consciously knowing it, they just wander in and wander right back out. Now, if you are healthy and whole, if you are tuned in, tapped in, turned on, and you see that happen, you know why. You know that you just didn't leave your goat out where it was gettable. And ornery people are looking for buttons to push and chains to yank and goats to get and so forth, feathers to ruffle. They don't mean to. Law of attraction just puts them there. And so we're just asking you to, well, let's take the other part of that. So let's say that you didn't do that tuning in part, but you're mostly feeling pretty good. You like life, and you have a good life, and you feel good much of the time. In fact, most of the time. But still, something blindsided you, and you find yourself caught up in this negative emotion about something. Well, don't beat up on yourself for not having gotten out ahead of it, because there's no point in that. Your inner being isn't beating up on you, and if you are, then that's part of the reason for your discord. But instead of beating up on yourself, acknowledge the discordant emotion within you and say something to yourself like, well, this is an opportunity for me to do a better job of calibrating on this issue to what I want,